Today's a special day for Port Adelaide, a very significant announcement.
It's a really historic announcement. The first time that any Western team sport, professional team sport, has played a game for competition points in China, and it is a really big day. And also, it's a sign of respect and friendship that Australia has and the AFL for China as a trading partner, as a community partner, and I think that's the really significant part of it.
Going beyond football, but going beyond the football field, it's about relationships.
It is about relationships. It's about the relationship between Australia and China and the two communities. Australia has such a big Chinese community in its own right, and the links through to China go back to the 1820s, which is a long time for Australians, not so long in terms of Chinese history, but the significance of taking our indigenous game, Australia's game, to China is that show of friendship between the two countries and the two communities.
It's an incredible transformation for Port Adelaide, who 20 years ago was in the SANFL competition, is now a national and now an international brand. How important is this?
It's important because we've got to have a culture within Port Adelaide, and like every organisation, that you've got to think differently. You've got to think outside the square. You've got to think how you can grow your organisation away from the conventional means of doing it. And, I often say to people, I want Port Adelaide to be the disruptor of the AFL, to challenge the AFL constantly, to really annoy them because we're doing things differently. We're doing things outside of the status quo. And Port Adelaide has a history of that. When you look back at when we were a community team in the local SANFL, we were the driving force behind the development of Footy Park. We've got in a traditional sense, a history of thinking laterally, of thinking big. And you can't think much bigger than taking the club to the biggest economy in the world.
This is not a one-off play, is it?
No.
This is a long-term play.
No. This is a long-term play to keep building and building. It would be incredibly disrespectful to China and our Chinese supporters to blow in for 1 year and leave again. We're all about building a future for the AFL and a future for Port Adelaide into China, and that's the exciting part about it. And the thirst, the appetite by the Chinese community for anything Australian is huge. So why can't it be for Australian sport and AFL?
Finally, Chinese audiences have seen our games on TV and via social media over the last 12 months. What do you think will resonate with them when they finally see Port Adelaide play the Gold Coast Suns live?
Oh, look, it's like when we go to the NFL in America, when we go to the NBA, we go to the big show. It is so distinctly Australian that's why I think it will build a following in China. And we've seen through CCTV that they built an audience which has surprised them, that they've committed to showing our games on TV next year. Now that's a great testament to the momentum that we're starting to build and makes for a very exciting future.